First off, what is social media? It's really big. Big numbers. All these numbers go on in just like 1 minute. It's not a New York minute. It's a social media minute. And people are expanding, and your clients and around are spending more and more money because that's where the eyes are. But it's not just that. More importantly, it's where people's ears, minds, and hearts are. And study after study shows that customers, whether it's a consumer or business, more and more trust what other people like them say online than any other source. So that's why the budgets are getting big. And in today's presentation, I'm going to talk a lot about what I think is important for all of you, since you're helping your companies manage the costs and try to get real value out of all this. The key thing to understand about social media that's different from any other media form is that it's all about dialogue and relationships. It's not about just putting messages out. It's about creating an environment where your customers can talk first with each other, establish relationships, and then bring you along. And that way you show them, you understand them, and they build loyalty. And that's the most critical thing to understand. Along with that, what are the real benefits of it? Well, people aren't going on social media to look at product ads or to get coupons or informational. All that's fine. They're going there at a core level to share and express themselves, to make friends, and get attention. And if your social media programs aren't delivering one or two or preferably all three of these benefits to your customers, you're not leveraging the media form, and your customers will stop paying attention to you there, because that's why they're really there. Now, if you have business to business, it's the same thing. We just recast those. Instead of share and express, it's share and collaborate. Instead of make friends, it's professional networking. Instead of attention, it's recognition in the form of status with your peers, like a place like this, or in your job. I did a great job. So it's still the same core thing, very fundamental what people are about. And really, if you look at several thousand years of history of business and sales and marketing, most of it's like this. It's only after World War II and for the last 60 years that globalization and mass marketing is kind of the aberrant, just throw messages at people. This is much more core to what people are like and what business is like. Now, on the brand side, if you deliver those benefits to your customers, they will reward you with great marketing, awareness, word of mouth, education, loyalty. They'll buy more stuff, and there's studies that show that. You can do higher quality customer support at lower cost, and you can learn a lot that can really affect your business. And I'll talk more about all those in the ROI section. Now, you can also get some short-term sales. You can do a coupon, you can do a promotion, you can drive somebody into a store, to a shelf, or online and buy something. And you can do it. But if you overdo that, your customers are going to think you're spamming them, and they're going to stop. So ultimately, you want to build relationships and loyalty so they shift their patterns and buy more from you and tell everybody else to also. It's not free. Some people are like, oh, it's free. It's not free, but it is the most cost-effective form of marketing you can do when you do it right. And that's because you have the leverage of all your customers who will amplify it and take it forward for you. That's why many large corporations are saying, we can be more effective with our marketing budget even as we lower it if we shift more of it over to social media. So let's talk about ROI. Some people in our industry get up and say, oh, it's soft, it's relationships, it's all those benefits I talked about, you can't measure it, let's not have ROI. Okay, I'm the longest standing social media company, that's just total BS, you should have ROI, we're doing this for business reasons, you can have ROI. At least you should try. It's new, it's still a young industry, we're working on the measures, but that's kind of true for a lot of other marketing ROI measures. So you can do it, and you should manage with that in mind. And here are just 5 models. Number 1, social media statistics, likes, talking about, followers, things like that. Key thing here to understand is just building up a bunch of fans and followers isn't enough. You have to do it so you have somebody to work with, but that in itself doesn't do anything for you. It's kind of a vanity metric. You want people to engage. So you really want to look at what levels of engagement you have, how many people you're engaging with, where that's going. So just getting lots of fans by itself isn't enough. In fact, a lower number of fans with a higher engagement level is more valuable and a better ROI than a lot of fans with a low engagement level. But it varies on what you're doing. 2, marketing statistics, basic awareness, loyalty, brand recall. things like that. One that we really like is marketing equivalency, because you can look at this really easily with your budgets. We borrow this from PR friends who had the same issue when everybody said, well, how many people saw my ad? And PR doesn't run ads. So one thing you can do is say, we spent this amount of money on the social media program, how many people did we reach, and what would have that cost if we did a regular advertising program? And we have one case example with a really big client where we ran a holiday program for them. The social media part was about $200,000. And then we looked at, how many people did we reach? And how many was it just like a little message, and how many was it deep engagement? And then we said, well, what would that have cost to do in regular advertising? The equivalent of this $200,000. It was over $2 million. This had a 10 times ROI. Now, what's nice about this one is you do this, you quantify it, you track it, it's not that hard. Then you take it to your CMO or CEO and said, I just saved $1.8 million. You can keep $1 million for profit or other programs, what you want, and give me another $800,000 for the social media program, and maybe one of our nice agency vendors that told us how to do it. Insight. This may be the most powerful thing you can do. For years and years and years, we have all kinds of surveys and research and demographics and psychographics and everything imaginable to try to figure out what our customers are thinking and what to do about it. In social media, it's right in front of you. They're talking all about you right in front of you, if you do it right, like I've been talking about. So here you can learn a lot. Let's give an example. Sun Microsystems, we did a bunch of work for them a number of years ago that was around open source developers. And they and IBM and Microsoft were all developing these tools in a big race for open source developers. So we went and did a listening project to see what were the open source developers talking about. None of them were talking about these tools. They were talking about a completely different set of tools that nobody was making for them. Sun saw that, reallocated their budgets, changed their strategy, started developing those tools, jumped way out in front of Microsoft and IBM and that whole big business just because of that one realization. Let me give you another example that I just saw the CMO of General Mills talk about 3 weeks ago. From social media, they found that Pillsbury Boy and the little baking dough and you make the croissants, which was a brand that was getting tired, and the commercials and everything in the marketing ever were, look at the crispy, crusty, little flaky croissant you can make. It was a product message. And they found in social media that their customers, moms and families, were playing with the dough with their kids. And that there was an emotional experience the customers were getting that had nothing to do with the product features really, but it was really important to them. So they recrafted the entire marketing. If you see any commercials for it now, you'll see it's mom making a little mustache out of the dough and putting it on the kid, and then laying it out, and then they go cook it. So that changed the entire product positioning from look at my features to a purpose-driven approach of emotional branding, and all the commercials and everything around that. And they did that with Cheerios and everything because of insights they saw on social media. Number 4, relationship building. American Express did a study at the end of 2012 that said a positive experience of customer support on social media causes people to tell 43 other people. A negative, they tell 52 other people. That's a 95-point word-of-mouth spread as people build out your relationships positively or negatively. Now let's look at revenue, because everybody wants that. Can you get revenue? Yes, you can get revenue. And the way you know that is because that same American Express study said the positive people spent 21% more money. Another study by Mr. Youth, an agency, a couple holiday seasons ago, showed that retailers, for every online interaction they had, 80% of them resulted in an actual sale. And we have tracked this with our clients. We had one travel company, and we did online community on their website. They booked $5 million in incremental sales out of the social activity, right out of it. That's not counting people who left and came back somewhere else. And I can guarantee you this thing cost them a lot less than $5 million to do. And one way you can track all this stuff is to do what you do with other media forms. Measure it before and after in the control groups. People don't seem to do that with social media. And I figured out why. The people that know how to do that tracking, before and after and all that, they sit on this floor, and the social media marketing people sit on another building on another floor. So you can go back to your companies and call a meeting with those two sets of people, and now you can track all this and show the ROI. It'll be great. Okay, so now I want to talk about best practices. And when I'm doing a talk like this, I usually go through each of these or some number of these. I have pictures and graphics and all that. But I'm not going to do that today. Although I will call your attention to number 8, because I'm sure everybody here is putting out RFPs for technology, thinking they'll buy one tool and it'll be great for everything. That's really not true. You're not going to get one tool that's going to last forever and be great for everything. So you're going to end up with multiple different tools and turn them over all the time. So you could save yourselves a lot of time and money and effort by just like not having these big giant RFPs and going, look, let's just try these 3 things for 6 months or 12 months and then we'll see what happens. And I'm a software company telling you that. We do software and services. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about all these 10 because I promised you something new. And that's going to be about social topic mix and what's going on in the world of social topic mix. So to start with, what is it? Well, when you're doing content on social media, it can be brand product-y, it can be category, or it can be social. So as an example, if I were like a barbecue company and I went, look at my Weber barbecue with these great features and it's only $99.95, that's product-y. If your product or brand name's in the post, it's probably product-y. Not always, but probably. A category post would be, do you like a gas or grill? That's more interesting to people because that's part of their lives. A social post would be, on 4th of July at my barbecue, we're going to do blank. That's really interesting to people because they care about that. Think of it like a party. Your social media presence is a party you're throwing for your customers, and you're the host. And if you get up as the host and all you do is talk about yourself all night, everybody's going to go, oh my God, what an ego this guy has. They don't even care about me, and I'm bored to death. I'm never coming back. Never coming back means not buy your stuff. On the other hand, if you just talk about yourself a little, and you have interesting topics going on, and great people, like all of you sitting here, and you get to meet them and network them and talk to them, and it's interesting, you go, wow, this brand is a great party, and they understand me. I'm coming back to this party, and I'm bringing my friends, and they will assume that their online experience with you is their in-store or with product or with service. So you throw a great party, make it about them, they can figure out who you are, they'll buy stuff. So most people don't do that, because for 60 years, we're used to like TV ads, me, 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 me. So most brands start off with 80 to 100% about themselves and not about the people. And the problem with that is that people aren't going to pay attention. And not only are they not going to pay attention, but on Facebook, which is the biggest game in town, there's actually algorithms that control what of your posts are seen by people on their own pages, and those are based on what's social. So your product messages are going to get through less, and the social ones will get through more. So it may seem counterintuitive, but a better ratio is 80% social and category and only 20% product. So for example, if you have 100 posts and 80 of them are about you, only a very small number of people are going to see them. But if only 20 posts are about you and the rest are basically about your customers, a lot more people will see all of them, including those 20. So be more social, your product message will actually get to more people, and they'll feel you understand them. That's the basic idea. Now here's the new part. In 2014, this last year, Facebook artificially clamped down on what we call the reach of organic posts. That's when you just put them on your page and you're not paying. And they did that basically to force all the brands to buy more ads. They won't say that. They'll go, oh, it's like, customer experience and stuff. And it's like, as if the $6 billion and 40% profit isn't enough, but it's their system and they get to do what they want. So you have to buy ads. And many brands have reacted to that going, well, I guess we won't do many organic posts because not too many people are going to see them. And it's paid, right? That's like broadcast media. I'm paying for it. It's going to be my story. Like, I know it's my party, but now I'm really paying for everybody to come. So I paid for you to come, so like, I'm going to stand up and talk about myself all night. Wrong, 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 and wrong. But this is what people are doing. Right now, back at your companies, planning budgets for next year, budgets are shifting to this paid, because they have to, and the content is shifting towards this product model and dropping organic. And this is a big mistake, because the medium is about dialogue and relationships. And effective marketing meets customer expectations and fits the channel context. If it's TV, you watch TV to see big, long videos. So a little short video makes sense. Just pointing out that nobody's really watching them anymore because they're looking at their tablet on social media. But nevertheless, it makes sense. If you go to a search engine, you go there to have the search engine tell you to go someplace else. So a banner ad or a Google AdWord that does that, that makes sense. In social media, the customers are coming there for dialogue and relationships. If you don't give them that and those three benefits, they're not going to pay attention to you. So if we look at paid posts, if it's all product, they can have some product, the users will reject it as spam. Not only will they stop paying attention, but Facebook is actually rolling out little buttons that say, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see things from this brand anymore, and they're going to use it. In addition to that, Facebook has already documented, they've shown it to us, I haven't shown it to everybody yet, product posts get fewer clicks. So socially engaging ones get more. And just to push this, because they actually do want a good user experience, they have algorithms that actually charge you a higher CPM if you go all product-y, because they don't consider that high quality. On the other hand, if it's social, your users will like it, they'll click on it more, and you'll pay less. So on the one side, you can pay more money to get lesser results, or you can pay less money to get better results. But the key is you've got to understand it's a dialogue and relationship media form, and you have to market in it in the context of that channel and the way your users expect it. And I assure you that more of your marketing clients do not understand this than do, because you think, well, if I'm paying for it, it's just going to be about me. So this is something you can really help people when you go back to look at and understand. Now let's go to organic. So some people are going, I won't post as much in organic, and other people are posting more. Here's the interesting thing. Even though Facebook has lowered the number of people that will see your free posts, the people who do see it are the ones engaging with it more, because that's how the algorithm works. They're your most loyal, best customers. Intuitively, that makes sense, right? If they're looking at your stuff and interacting with it more, they're like you, they're paying attention. And we have data over 30 years that shows that, though we're going to do new research in this context. So for organic, instead of decreasing the amount you're doing, even though Facebook capped it, you want to increase it because Facebook has inadvertently segmented you to your most loyal customers, and you can get at them for free. So more organic posts, and in product land, don't dominate, paid land, don't dominate it by product posts, dominate it by social posts, and then slip in the product ones as part of a nice party for your customers. Okay, so now we're going to go off that and talk about a little case study in my last few minutes. How do you scale user content around the world? This fictitious news just in order to illustrate this, I've invented a new company and have bought every CPG company in the world. So I have one company with lots and lots of brands, and they're not all LiveWorld clients, because sometimes I talk about this and someone comes up and says, I didn't know you were a client, and if you are, you're not allowed to talk about me. So you're not all LiveWorld clients yet. So here's the world, and this is what some of you today as procurement managers are facing, and your community managers and legal people. You got all these brands all over the place that I merged into one company, but it will fit many of you. And on top of that, every one of these brands is on a bunch of different social channels, doing whatever they think they should do, and they're not the same. And they're doing it in many different languages. And if that's not complex enough, all over the world, they've got their own little digital or PR agency or big ad agency says they can do everything, or a social agency doing it differently. No consistency, no leverage, no volume discounts, no integration, no anything. This has got to change because these budgets are getting big and it's not going to scale. So this is actually a real case study. I've just disguised it to protect the innocent and the guilty and everything. And we actually did this for a big company like this. And what we did is we developed a global moderation program to manage the user content. We templated the startup with a template that people fill out with objectives and what kind of content it is and everything. This alone cut the amount of time to set up moderation for a new Facebook page from 140 hours of internal and agency time to 40. More importantly, it speeded up the process. Then we integrate all these pages everywhere into one platform, so everything come into a single integrated workflow that allows us to share the labor across them. As an example, so you got 10 brands, they're in 10 English countries, and the risk profile of this company, the stuff has to be checked every 4 hours. Any less spread out more than that's too risky. So your company might want it 24 hours a day or 1 hour a day. This one is every 4 hours. That's 6 hours a day of checking per brand times 10 brands, 60 hours of moderation. This is a true story. We're actually doing this, but more brands. So 60 hours. In this model, it's all shared. So instead of 60 hours, we could get it all done in 24 hours because it's all shared. Yet each brand is getting 24 hours of coverage. So the company is now paying for 24 hours of moderation a day instead of 60, but each brand is getting 6 times the value. Lower cost, more value, because it's being looked at on a global basis, which many of these separate brands and divisions can't do, but you can help them do it. And all that saves millions of dollars. We have one client that is saving about $4 million a year on a few hundred sites, another that has a few thousand pages, and they're saving between $20 and $30 million a year. A lot of it was hidden costs, hidden those retainers or inside resources, but it really adds up. So what do you get? Number one, you save all this money. Number two, faster time to market. Number three, you have a more consistent program, so the corporate values are managed effectively around the world, yet it's still tailored by brand and program. So you get global scale and local relevance. And then last but not least, the in-house community managers can focus on higher level work rather than seeing what bad words are there, and they get to go home at night. Because this is a 24/7 program, and even if you're only doing it a few times a day, some of those are on the evenings and the weekends. And a bonus value, which people are just getting into, is now you have an integrated system, so you have a universal way of looking at all the user content of your customers around the world. That's new. People are just starting to take advantage of it, but you get a lot more leverage understanding what's going on across your company this way. So I'm going to wrap up. We're not pitching, but we have 2 free things in the world. We've actually developed an application to do an analysis for people with that. So if you see one of our people, we do that. And we have my book, my brand new book, the CMO Social Media Handbook, which is free. It actually costs like $30, but in the break, I'm signing them and giving them away with my signature for no cost. Thank you.